Good evening. This is Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is the Bigger Picture webinar for the evening of Wednesday, the 8th of October. Sorry, I didn't do it before the market today because I was unable to. So it's tonight instead. Okay, right. Yesterday we had a bit of a decline as expected. I noted on the charts yesterday that this double top here needed to get below and convert the weekly pivot, or it was going to fail, and it failed today and went straight back to the prior high. No current divergence, NQ, no current divergence, and we went back and made a higher high. We didn't have anything that's broken down here already. This could be a double top, but it's already gone a little high for this ideally. On RTY, we saw a bit of a rally today, but the main action was on ES and NQ, so this was a tech-led rally. We haven't retested the high yet on RTY. We had broken down from a double top with a target in the 245125 area. I'm leaning towards this going back into the high, and what I would say is that we've got, in terms of the stats for the rest of this week, the bearish day was Tuesday. Tomorrow is leaning 61% bullish, and then we're about neutral on Friday. So I've got more to say, and I do think we might have a larger retracement coming, but I'll talk about that on the big picture charts. It's just that we've got some, I'll talk about it on the big picture charts. But anyway, RTY, expecting this to go back to the high, but hasn't reached it yet. Dow barely moved today, really. But this looks like a bullish consolidation, and I'm leaning towards this delivering a retest of the high as well. DAX made a new high. This is a possible double top setup. We didn't quite make it to the retest of the all-time high today, but I'm thinking we probably will tomorrow. ESTX, this looks like a bull flag, which is starting to break up, and I'm leaning towards seeing a retest of that high as well. All right, let's have a look at the bigger picture charts. Okay, looking at the ES chart, first thing to mention is, sorry, I've got this annoying thing that's happening on my charts today, which is, I've been correcting, but I've only done it on some of the charts. The main thing to say on ES today, though, is that we had a possible RSI 14 sell signal brewing, but as I was saying, on Sunday probably, but certainly in the pre-market webinars, if we saw a decline and then a retest of the high, then we could get a decent RSI 5 sell signal brewing, and we have one of those brewing now. Now, if we are going to see a retracement soon, that's a significant strike in favor of that going somewhere. Obviously, we would still need to break and convert the daily middle band. On SPX, we have the same. Possible daily RSI 14 sell signal brewing, possible RSI 5 sell signal brewing. So we will see how that goes. But again, it's that's quite important. And given that it's tech which has been making most of the running for months now, we've also got possible RSI 14 sell signal brewing. I won't correct this one. And we've got an RSI 5 sell signal that is fixed on the Qs. Now, in terms of the daily chart, sorry, the hourly and 15-minute charts, we've got a weak RSI 14 sell signal fixed on SPX. We've got a very nice looking potential little level top here. Doesn't mean it's going to turn. And short term, I've got a nice looking resistance trend line here, which is currently about 35 handles above and rising fairly rapidly, but we would need to obviously see a fairly impressive move to get there. In terms of the Qs, no current divergence on the hourly chart. On the 15-minute chart, we've got a possible RSI 5 sell signal brewing, but that's not a lot to hang out on, really. It's in terms of the bigger picture, if we were to go up and hit this trend line here, we'd probably need to go up another 10 handles, which is a lot. So we'll see how that goes. But looking at Dyer, we could get an RSI 5 sell signal brewing, but we would need to retest the high first. We've had a RSI 14 sell signal fixed for a while. On the hourly chart, no divergence. On the 15-minute chart, no divergence either. I was wondering about seeing possibly a test of this wedge support before we see a retest of the high. That wouldn't involve much more than a retest of yesterday's low, so I'm thinking we might see that. All right, in terms of the IWM charts, again, we could see an RSI 5 sell signal here, but we would need to retest the high first, but we're probably going to see that, in which case we could get possibly simultaneous RSI 5 sell signals brewing on SPX, on Qs, IWM, and on Dyer, and that's actually generally a pretty good indicator that we are about to see a more significant retracement. Hourly chart, we've got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed that hasn't made target yet. And it doesn't need to before we see a retest of the high. Nothing on the 15-minute. Looking at DAX, we almost made it up to a retest of the high today, and we actually made it up to 24,630. That wasn't quite a retest of this high, but it was getting pretty close. I'm thinking we'll probably follow that through tomorrow. Nikkei, having paused and retraced when we got to this trend line, has now broken up from it. I do not have an alternate trend line for the moment. I am wondering whether we might actually be breaking up from this wedge, which would potentially be very bullish indeed. I'm slightly skeptical about that, but we will see. Again, we've got an RSI 14 sell signal fix that failed today. And we've got no divergence on the RSI 5, but we could set up another possible RSI 5 divergence with a bit of a retrace and a retest. And the last, well, these have all performed pretty well, actually. So all 6 of these made target. This one, though, went significantly higher before it made target. All right, let's have a look at currencies. Okay, wait a second. Right, let's have a look at DX. Now, DX, we've gone higher today. I was expecting that. We do have some negative divergence, though. We've got a 60-minute sell signal fixed here, and on Euro, we've got a 60-minute buy signal fixed. I am wondering if we're going to see a bit of a rally. We've got a tiny little level bottom here, which we're looking for about the 1.168 area, and on DX, we've got a possible little level top as well. So I'm wondering about a pullback here, but overall, I've drawn in the rising support trend line. I've got this in the 97.65 area, and until that breaks, I'll be assuming uptrend here because there's a pretty attractive overall bullish setup. ZB. ZB has been lost in space really for the last few weeks, couple of weeks. It's we've got a double bottom here. It's been trying to make the target, which isn't that far away, but has failed to make it so far. We're in a consolidation. I'd like to see this deliver a retest of this high in due course. That would be a good technical thing to see on the bigger picture charts. On ZN, we've still got a potential IHS. It doesn't look as nice as it did a couple of days ago, but it's still there. And if we see a break up, then the target would be a retest of this high here. So I'm leaning towards seeing that, but we haven't seen a break up yet. All right, let's have a look at currencies and bonds. Okay, US dollar. US dollar, we've got a possible RSI 5 buy signal brewing here. Hasn't fixed yet, but it's getting pretty close. I'm leaning towards this. Actually, I'm wondering why the text's doing this. Never mind. But I'm leaning towards this actually making target. Breaking up and this buy signal fixing in due course. We do have a very, very attractive bullish setup here. Nice looking little level bottom here. And if we were to see a sustained breakup over 100.26, that would have a target at about the 104.25 area. We will see how that goes. Obviously, we're not there yet. But it's making good progress. This is a lovely reversal pattern, and I really like the bigger picture setup. Not a lot to say on the other currencies. We got a nice looking double top, which is the mirror image here on the Euro USD daily chart, but we're not anywhere close to a signal. We'll see how that goes. GBP. Not as good a setup here, but the main thing I'm watching here really on US dollar, of course, is the bigger picture bull flag here, which is mirrored by possible bear flags on the euro and on GBP. We'll see how that goes. Just looking at USD/JPY, obviously we've seen a bit of a move up in recent days. That actually is the yen weakening, of course. I've been thinking that if we retested if we went back and saw a serious rally on the dollar, that we would likely retest this high here at 162. Possibly might not get any further, but because we've got a fair amount of resistance there, we've got this overall pattern resistance. But we could set up a very nice looking potential level top, although in fairness, we already have one of those. Although not a perfect one because we didn't quite retest this high at 162. We will see how that goes. We're on an RSI 14 sell signal, but as I tend to mention on most charts, I'm more impressed by RSI 5 ones. All right, great. Let's have a look at bonds on the big picture. Right, bonds, we've got on the daily chart, no current divergence. Obviously, we've been sort of trading sideways for a few days. We're trading above the daily middle band at the moment. And I'm thinking we may well go back and retest this low. That's what it would mean if we went back to retest those highs on ZB and ZN. We'll see how that goes. Looking at TNX, again, been drifting sideways, wondering about a retest of this low. On the hourly chart, nothing at the moment. We've not really been moving enough to get anywhere. Sorry, daily chart rather. We've not really been moving enough to do anything particularly dramatic. The RSI 14 reached the possible near miss target. We will see how this goes. But if bonds go up, I'll be looking for a retest of this low and possibly a double bottom. But we'll see. Looking at the daily chart, RSI 5 sell signals reached the possible near miss target. We do have a potential very oversized double bottom here, but it's mainly that this area here at 92 on TLT is a decent area of resistance. On the hourly chart, again, we've got an RSI 14 buy signal, and that's reached the possible near miss target. All right, let's have a look at oil. Right, on CL, we've got. I could draw an IHS here, which is broken up, but I don't really see it as being an IHS, and it's not decent. It's not a decent one, even if it might be kind of valid. I think this is more likely to be a bear flag forming. And I'm leaning towards seeing a retest of lows. We will see how that goes. No current divergence on the hourly chart. We had buy signals across the board on CL, HO, and RBOB at the lows, and all of those have made target. HO kind of looks like a bear flag brewing too. If we were to break up directly from here, this would be an IHS that I would follow. But if we break down, obviously, it's more likely to be a bear flag. Here we have got a valid IHS. We've had two valid IHSs actually. This one here, which broke up and failed, and this one here, not quite as nice as the first one, but still perfectly valid, which has broken up as well. This could be heading up into the target in the 1.968 area, but I'm kind of leaning towards the downside. On this one, we had a buy signal that's reached the possible near miss target, so I'm not really expecting to see any more. We shall see how that goes. I'm leaning towards these failing, but there is a possibility of upside. And certainly we would have a valid IHS on HO here if it broke up, and that would have a target in about the 2.36 area in the event it broke up. Okay, let's have a look at NG. NG, this is a decent looking double bottom which has broken up. It could be failing, but of course the seasonals, I've got that breaking up in a target in the 3.8 to 3.828 range, and the seasonals kind of favor it going up another buck or so over the next couple of months, and this is a good fit with that. So we'll see how that goes. My lean is that we're forming a bull flag here at the moment. This is a bullish consolidation. If it heads down below the monthly pivot at 3.267 and converts that, then we're looking at a retest of the low and a possible large double bottom forming. All right, let's have a look at those on the bigger picture charts. Right, WTIC. On the daily chart, no current divergence. This is a potential inverted head and shoulders. Obviously, on the bigger picture, I've been talking about the big falling wedge, the break up, and possible bottoming patterns that could be forming. I would like to see a retest of the low here, but we do have a valid setup to go directly up from here. Although I'm thin on fundamental reasons why that might happen, but nonetheless, I tend to follow the technical sellers first. This would be a decent-looking inverted head and shoulders. We've got the same sort of overall setup on heating oil and RBOB, and this is a pretty possible-looking inverted head and shoulders as well. And on gas oil, which was the main reason I was thinking it would go lower, because we had what looked like a bear flag here. That bear flag has broken down and has retested the low. This is now a potential overall double bottom, and this. So we would now have all three having decent reversal patterns in the event that we're going to see a breakup. Why would it break up here? I don't know. Or just because it wants to. I mean, quite often I have noticed in the past that people have, look for continuation of the trend and give all sorts of good reasons, and it just goes and does what the pattern says anyway. I'd be thinking that might well happen here. In terms of natural gas, bigger picture, I'm quite liking the downside. We have held the monthly middle band. If we went back and retested this high here at 4.59, it'd be a pretty good match with the seasonals and could set up a nice looking level top to then come back and retest the lows. We'll see how that goes. That would be somewhat oversized though. but we'll see. This has got a double bottom, which is broken up with the target in this in the 5.96.3 area. We could go and get that, of course. We'll see. In the short term, we've got no current negative divergence, but we could get some if we retest this short-term high at 3.59. But again, if we go back and retest that, we could just go and make the upside target. We will see. We have broken up over this declining resistance trend line, and that has for now opened the upside. All right, let's have a look at GC. GC, we have gone a bit higher today. Now, we had a 60-minute sell signal fixed, and that failed. Another one has fixed as well. But this is something I've been talking about in the pre-market webinars as well. Sometimes you just got to wait for this for a move like this to blow out. I was saying this is like a longer version of a trend day. You can have all sorts of promising setup in the opposite direction, but until that trend finishes, they'll all fail. This isn't a great topping setup. I don't have a decent trend line here, although there won't necessarily be one. We got a 6-minute sell signal, and the last one, as I said, fell. Maybe this one will make target. We've got more than one. SI, we haven't got one, but we've got a nice looking little low top. Palladium, we've got nothing, but if we retest this high, we can get a possible 60-minute sell signal brewing. This looks like a fairly hard breakup, and I'll talk more about that on the daily chart. On platinum, we've not as hard as palladium. There's a very hard looking breakup on the bigger picture chart. We had a nice flag, retested the high, and it's continued higher. We're still on a 60-minute sell signal that hasn't made target, but doesn't need to. HG, I'm thinking might be breaking down here towards a retest this low in the 4.38 area. Nice looking rising wedge, got slightly below the rising wedge support here. I'm thinking this may well be topping out and giving us a decent retracement, but this isn't a precious metal. We've got a 60-minute sell signal which has now reached a possible near miss target. Bigger picture, I'm thinking a retracement here would make a lot of sense, but that wouldn't necessarily be in sync with the other metals. Okay, let's have a look at those on the bigger picture charts. On gold, on the monthly chart, I was noting that people were saying, oh, well, the RSI has reached the 90 level for the first time since 1980. Actually, that's not true, and it can't be true until the end of the month. At the end of the month, we'll see where this actually lands. Now, if we have a bullish rest of the month, then it'll probably be at 90 or higher. If we don't, then it could well be lower. So we don't actually know where this is going to land. At the moment, it's above the 1980 high, and that is impressive. Does it mean that we're about to turn? No. Could we? Yeah. It's we will see how that goes. But I'm not calling that as being equal to the 1980 high until we see the move at the end of the month, the fix at the end of the month. In terms of the daily chart, no current divergence on the RSI 14, and I think we just lost the weak RSI 5 sell signal on the daily, and this really looks like the Rocky Mountains. And I've seen some big charts of some wild moves. That one that was topping out in 1980, that was a wild move. But I'm not seeing it necessarily anywhere near to a top here at the moment. Silver, I did say when we got through this trend line here that we'd probably retest the high. At the high today, we were at 49.54, so that high has been retested. So we've made a new all-time high on silver. We could well find resistance here. If you go back a little further, hang on, wait a second. Let's just turn this into a 50-year chart. You can see we had a high back here. The old all-time high was at 48.74, and when we went back and retested that finally 30 years later, then we had a very hard fail directly from there. You often see this kind of resistance at marginal new highs, but not always by any means, and I'm thinking we may well be going a lot higher. In fact, this rising wedge that I had here, which really wasn't bad, if this is broken up, this would actually have a target. Where would that be? All right. That would actually be at about the 78 area. No, 68 area. So we can still go a long, long way from here. But obviously, this is a point where we could see some reversal. Do we have any negative divergence here? No, but we could easily develop some with a decent pullback and then a retest. On the daily charts, some negative divergence here. We've actually got a weak RSI 5 sell signal that's fixed, but we had a full sell signal here, and that failed. On a big trend, you can see a series of these fail, and I'm not seeing any strong indication that this is ending yet. Really, the first part of a strong indication it might be ending would be a decent retracement happening, which might tell us that it was starting to top out. And then we'd see a retest, and then maybe we would see setups and patterns. But at the moment, we haven't had that. Looking at Palladium. Now, Palladium, I've got this nice looking trend line here, and I drew it on the chart. Well, it's certainly been on the chart all year, I think. And we missed it on the last move up, and we've gone back and hit it this time. This is possible bear flag resistance. So this is obviously a pretty significant area. So watching with interest to see what happens here. No current divergence on the weekly chart here. On the daily chart, I don't think we've got any divergence either because my text is doing this weird thing today. I'll need to go and check. Nope, no negative divergence there either. So I'm leaning towards, well, I'm not seeing any particular reason to think that this is going to do anything other than continue up. This, I would say that this, the last sell signal on Palladium has now failed, having failed to make it to the possible near miss target. So bear with me a moment. So I'm just going to annotate that. And we've got no negative divergence currently on the RSI 5, although it is looking pretty over. That is over 90 on the daily chart. All right, looking at platinum. Platinum, we already had a pattern which I thought might be delivering a big breakup, and at the moment, I'm not seeing anything to suggest it isn't. And this pattern is an inverted head and shoulders, because we actually had a decent retracement there, came back, made a nice right shoulder, and broke up. This has got a target and a retest of the high here at 22.90, and I'm not seeing any indication really it's about to turn around. Looking at the daily chart, we do have an RSI 14 sell signals fixed. If we didn't have one already, another one would be brewing here. I'm pretty sure, sorry, it's a very annoying this text thing that's happening today. Yeah, this is a possible RSI 5 sell signal that is brewing. So bear with me a moment. I'm just going to type that in. Right. So this is an indication that we might be seeing a retracement, and I would say the last one, after a while, made target very nicely. So, but it's thin. I would say that this is, and I keep been saying this every time really, but it's always true, is that if you see, if something like a trend that is strong enough will tend to run over anything. If this is one of those here, then it may well, nice as these divergences look, we may well just run through them. All right, looking at copper. Copper, I'm thinking we may well be looking at a significant reversal here. Do we have any negative divergence backing that up? Not yet. But if we see a bit of a pullback and a retest, we could set up some very nice sell signals, which would be good to see, and we would often see on copper. Looking at GDX, we have a possible RSI 14 sell signal brewing. We've got a possible RSI 5. Then we've got a weak RSI 5 sell signal that's fixed. We're looking pretty much the same on GDXJ. But see what has happened since we fixed those. This one fixed when we were down here about the 92.5 area, and we're now up at 105. Again, would I short this instrument with a chart like this? No, I wouldn't. And we've got hourly sell signals which fixed, and we lost this. Sorry, hourly sell signals that fixed, and these haven't made target yet, and it just continued going higher. On GDXJ, we've got another RSI 14 sell signal fixed, but again, we are continuing higher. I would not be short either of these instruments. All right, let's have a look at the other commodities. All right, KC. 60-minute buy signals reached possible near miss target. We are trying to get through the monthly pivot, and it's taking a while at the moment. SB, we've broken up from a double bottom with a target in the 17.66 area, but you can see I drew in this possible alternate bear flag, and here is a perfect touch on that bear flag support as of this morning. This could be about to break down and be a bear flag, and this would be basically the double bottom rejecting back into the low. We could well see that here, and generally speaking, when you come back and hit a trend line exactly like this, then it's an indicator. Then this is basically asserting that this is a valid bear flag. And if it broke up, I might well be looking at the target from the bear flag breaking up rather than the double bottom. Although I'd be using the double bottom target as well. CC is still trickling down. No sign of that stopping at the moment. We've got a weak 6-minute buy signal fixed. We've got a full size one brewing. But at the moment we've broken big support, and I'm thinking this might go down a while further. CT, we've hit a pretty nice looking wedge support trend line here. We might be setting up to deliver a retracement here. No really obvious reversal pattern, but I've got a possible IHS neckline in the 66 area. We've got a short-term 60-minute buy signal fixed, and we are heading towards that target. So I'm thinking that'll make target, and then we'll see whether we can get back over, get through this declining resistance currently in the 65.5 area. Lumber, we got a little double top which has broken down. This has been moving very slowly lately, but actually has been delivering on the patterns and the signals. 60-minute sell signal made target. It's broken down from a double top with a target in the 582.8 to 586.1 area. Looking at ZW. Not quite formed an alternate double bottom here. I'm leaning bullish on wheat, but I am wondering about a possible low retest from here. Corn is looking pretty nice though. This, I drew in this, I was losing faith in this bull flag megaphone as we got down to here, but it recovered back over. This looks like a bullish underthrow, and it's now starting to break up. This should resolve into a retest of this high here in the 431 area. Looking at soy, again, we've got a nice looking falling megaphone. This one is too large to be a bull flag. But again, we saw a strong move below it. But again, we've recovered back above it. We've got an IHS which has broken up with the target in about the 1045 area, 1046.25 area. So we will see how that goes. But at the moment, I'm leaning towards that making target. On ZL, possible bear. Looks more like a bear flag than it looks like anything else. So we've got a 60-minute sell signal fixed, waiting to see if this delivers, and if we can get back below the monthly pivot at 50.75. Live cattle looks like a bullish triangle forming here, and we're pretty close to triangle resistance. If that is the case, this would be A, B, C, D. So I'd be looking for a test of the 240 area, and then a bit of a pullback here, and then probably a retest and a break up and a retest of this high here in the 242.25 area, I think. On HE, we've got a large rising megaphone which is broken down. We've got no really big pattern here, but we've got a double top which is broken down with a target in the 84.25 to 85 area, and I'm not seeing any reason to think that won't make target. But I would note that we've now got, sorry, I haven't marched in, we've got a possible 60-minute buy signal brewing. We do have a potential little double bottom here, so if we get back over the weekly pivot, we could be rejecting back up towards a retest of the high. And that, within the overall pattern, could be setting up a larger topping pattern to then come down again. So we'll see how that goes. All right, let's have a look at the bigger picture charts on those. Right, coffee. I'm still wondering, we're still holding the monthly middle band, and I'm still wondering about a possible retest of this high here at 4.408. Weekly chart, we've got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed, nothing on the RSI 5. We're trying to break up over the weekly middle band, daily middle band at the moment. If it can manage it, and it's had a couple of tries so far and not succeeded, but if it can manage it, then I'm quite liking that high retest. Looking at sugar, I've got no current divergence here, but if we see a retest of the low, we could see a monthly buy signal grow. And that would be a decent reason to go back and retest the low. We will see how that goes. On the weekly chart, we've already got an RSI 5 buy signal fixed. We've got a lovely looking double bottom here, which hasn't broken up yet. Waiting to see if that will break up. But this is a nice setup. It's a very nice falling wedge, and it's a nice polished setup, which I'm thinking may well deliver. On the daily chart, we've got an RSI 5 sell signal fixed, and we've been seeing some retracement on that at the moment. Looking at cocoa, you can see this was a very big level at 64.27. It had been back tested here, and it just broke. This could well deliver quite a lot more downside, and you can see, looking at this monthly chart, that cocoa is a long way above where it would normally be. I'm thinking we might well see a hard breakdown back towards this reversion to the mean, back towards this area. Looking at the daily charts, we've got a possible weak RSI 5 buy signal brewing, nothing on the RSI 14. Looking at wheat, I'm wondering about a possible retest of this low here at 495, setting up a larger double bottom. We could just head up towards this this target here in the 542 and 543 area, but having got this close to the low, we would often just deliver the retest of the low and then go up from there. I'm liking the upside bigger picture. Corn, I'd like to see the break up over this declining resistance. And if we can see that, we've got a lovely looking potential double bottom here. And as you can see on the bigger picture chart, we've got an IHS here forming. We'll see how it goes. It's this would be the little megaphone, and I'm liking the upside here. Corn, this is little IHS. If it breaks up, this could actually do some real damage. So this would have a target. I haven't marked it in, but I think that would be in about the 495 to 500 area. And we've got the bigger picture double bottom resistance at 504.50. All right, looking at soy. Soy, I'm not that optimistic. So there does seem to be a surplus worldwide, a large enough surplus that the usual markets of American soybeans aren't buying any. And won't need to buy any. And this doesn't look great for soy prices, frankly. And this is a bear flag that has been forming for well over a year. I'm leaning towards this in due course, going back and retesting this low here at 936.06. I'm not seeing a bullish pattern here, but to be honest, looking at the soybean market, there doesn't seem to be an awful lot to be bullish about. Looking at cotton, we've got a weekly buy signal here, and we've got a very nice looking double bottom. I am wondering whether we're going to see a retest of the low first. On lumber, we've got a lovely bear flag here, which has been forming for a good long time, couple of years, 2.5 years, and we've got a nice looking double top here, which is broken down slightly. We've seen a nice move up, and my lean is this is probably going to head down towards the target, which would then also be pretty much the flag target at 352.50. I like this move, so I'm thinking we may well turn over. We've got a weak RSI 5 sell signal fixed, RSI 14 buy signal fixed, which hasn't quite made target. I'm thinking we may well be about to reverse here. I'm wondering about possibly another retest of the high, but I'm thinking we may well be on the way down. We shall see. All right, great. Let's have a look at crypto. Okay, on crypto, we went back and made a new all-time high on Bitcoin. We're retracing a bit. We've got on the daily chart, no current divergence. On the hourly chart, we had a 60-minute sell signal, which has now made target. Do we have a potential level top here? Yes. Do I think this is done to the upside? I'm thinking likely not. On Solana, we haven't made it back up to a retest of the high here at 253.59, but I'm thinking that's probably coming. In the short term, we have got a weak RSI 5 sell signal fixed. And I am thinking that might deliver more downside, although we have been holding the daily middle band here. Looking at the 60-minute chart, we do have a little level top here, which is broken down with a target in the 212 area. That could still make target. If so, we'd probably do that tomorrow. Otherwise, I think we'll probably return to 237.91 and then resume the move to the upside. Ethereum hasn't come back and retested this high at 49.55, but I'm thinking that's likely coming. RSI 5 sell signal fixed on the weekly chart, of course. On the daily chart, no current divergence, and backtesting the 50 DMA here with further support at the daily middle band below that. On the hourly chart, no obvious reason to think this is going down. Possibly a very messy head and shoulders, but really I'm expecting this to resume the upside down or to be resuming it already. We shall see. All right, great. In that case, I think that's a wrap. So everyone take care. I'll catch you again on Sunday, and we'll see how the rest of the week goes.